I am Maria Fuentes. I'm the director of the Governor's Office of Youth, Faith, and Family. And for the last almost 4 years, I've had really the privilege of working with so many people in the faith space of Arizona on a variety of different topics. I've also had the privilege of working with Director Wright of Veteran Services and Thomas Winkle of the Arizona Coalition for Military Families on this program called Be Connected. And if you know anything about me, I come from the child welfare space. And in the child welfare space, what we talk about more often than almost anything is connecting families and children to services. How do you do proper family navigation? How do you make sure people have what they need? How do you make sure they're not just sitting on wait lists for services? How do you do those warm handoffs? And how do you truly connect with people to help them navigate the multitude of systems that exist to help them, but that are not always the best and easiest to work through? And when I moved to Arizona, I was delighted to find out that Director Wright from Veteran Services and the Governor's Office of Youth, Faith, and Family support the Arizona Coalition for Military Families on this nationally recognized, many times over program called Be Connected, which does exactly that. It comes alongside individuals and families that are either service members or veterans to help them access what they need. Ultimate goal, right? Driving force being to prevent suicides. But how do you prevent someone to getting to that dire last resort outcome? You help them with every step along the way. And so when Thomas came to me and introduced this, I mean, I still get goosebumps talking about it. Like it's an amazing formula to have figured out, to do successfully and to do well, because so many of us have worked in trying to get this done for so many times. Now we're like, okay, what's the secret sauce, Thomas? How do we, because they've really figured it out. And so it's really been an honor and a privilege to support Veteran Services and support Arizona Coalition for Military Families in doing this for so many Arizonans. And when Thomas came to me earlier this year and said, you know what we could use is a faith network. And I said, yes, absolutely, we could use that. I mean, we know so many people who go to church or active in church, get their resources and supports from churches, bridging those two things and building a faith network as a part of the Be Connected network was a brilliant idea, Thomas. And so I'm just here to help kind of connect and have this be one of the starting conversations, because one of my greater outcomes from this, from today, will not just be that you all learn and see why I'm so passionate about Director Wright's and Thomas's work, but that you tell all your friends, and that we continue to grow this network and support throughout our state. So with that, and introducing why I'm here and why I've asked all of y'all to be here, I'll turn it over to Thomas Winkle, and maybe we can do a kind of once around so we know who else in the call and what your interests are and why we're all here. But Thomas, I will turn it to you.
Wow, I gotta say, that is one of the nicest introductions I've ever had in my entire life. So thank you, Maria. That was really nice.
Oh, off my head.
It's just the way you rehearsed it, wasn't it?
That was really nice. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Yeah, it's just been a pleasure working with you and all the little collaborations that we've had over the years. But I think it's starting to get really fun with the Faith Network and the other things that we're doing. So I really appreciate everything, all the support, and I love your ability to connect all these different organizations and folks, so we can have an even broader conversation. So thank you, Maria. So I'll make this really quick because I'm going to talk a little bit. I'm going to explain a few things in just a few minutes, but my name is Thomas Winkle. I'm the director of the Arizona Coalition for Military Families, and I'm a former United States Marine and also a licensed professional counselor. And I'll pass it over to Miss Wanda, and then we'll pick it up on the other side after everybody does their introductions.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Wanda Wright, and I'm the director for the Arizona Department of Veteran Services. You know, I don't know, is it 6 years now? It seems like forever that we began this process with the Clay Hunt Act. And it's been a ride ever since. But I would like to also let you guys know that I was just at a conference in Reno for all the directors like me across the nation. It's called the National Association of Veteran Directors for the VA. And we, the state of Arizona, won a VA Pillar of Excellence for Be Connected. So the VA honored us. Secretary of the VA sent a letter out to the governor. And I can't tell you how like prideful I am about the program and have been from day one, but it just really helps when other people recognize it. When you said sort of nationally known, we definitely have spread the word. So I just wanted to share that with everybody. Thanks.
That's awesome, Wanda. All right, maybe we'll go with Mike and then Kathy, and then we'd love to hear from everybody, just a brief introduction. So we know that you're here.
Okay, I'm Mike Wold. I'm a U.S. Navy veteran. My day volunteer job is to coordinate healing workshops for veterans. But I'm also happy to be the co-chair of the Be Connected Faith Network, along with Thomas.
Thanks.
Greetings.
Kathy?
Greetings. My name is Kathy Gallowitz. I am a newcomer to the Be Connected Faith Network, thanks to Mike and Thomas. Glad to be a part of the team. I'm a career Air Force veteran, recently moving from Ohio about 2 years ago. And what I bring with me is many years of working with clergy in Ohio, developing military ministries, and work starting a nonprofit to do the very same thing. So I'm very excited to be a special projects consultant in this effort. Thank you.
All right. So I think what I'll do, if it's okay with everybody, is just switch over. I'm going to share my screen, and I'm going to kind of walk everybody through. I'm going to do this fairly quickly, but I just wanted to be able to provide everybody with a little bit of context on what we're doing. So really, this is one of the very first. So let me back up just even one more second. So in 2007, 2008, there was a series of kind of congressional mandates to the Department of Defense that said everybody should be kind of working together. Since there's a National Guard in every state, we're going to house some resources at the National Guard, and those resources are going to go out into the community and work with all active duty, Guard, and Reserve units and their families in the areas that they happen to be in. And so in Arizona, we really tried to take advantage of that. We had, just great kind of leadership support for taking a really inclusive approach. And one of the first places that we went, recognizing the early signs of things like moral injury and those types of concepts, and how important spirituality is for a person, but also how woven into the military culture it is, in that, chaplain services are just kind of part and parcel to a service member's life in some way, shape, or form. It's always a path that they can take to seek counsel or guidance, or just have a good warm ear to listen to. So we, myself, the head of chief of chaplains for both the VA and the state, and a few others, went over directly to the Franciscan Renewal Center and started talking with them and saying, we know of the programs that you've done for other folks in your area, and we'd like to encourage you to think about being able to do something specific to veterans. The Franciscan Renewal Center kind of took up that mantle, processed it, worked on it, and over the years have grown to become a huge, wonderful force of support for service members, veterans, and their families, doing things like healing and memory workshops and all sorts of other just really remarkable things. So what we want to do is hopefully kind of add on to that. And the reason I tell that little story is because the faith element is something that we've been working on for many, many years. And I feel like only now, wonderfully, because of Maria's help, because of Kathy's help, because of Mike's help, because of your all's interest, are we able to capitalize on that desire to help support this population in really quite remarkable ways. So I just wanted to start off by saying that. And Be Connected, for those of you who don't know, Wanda just referenced it. It was just nationally recognized. Maria talks about it. It's a program. And we've got folks that can pick up the phone and talk to people about resources. We've got people that can go out to people's house and navigate them literally physically through resources, get them connected to the VA, other health insurance, or anything else that you can imagine of. If you think about any issue that a person struggles with, and we've all struggled with our own issues, but we all know lots of folks that struggle with things. If you think of any issue, there are resources. That's the beauty of it. The difficulty in all of this, as Maria so really well put, was how do you get folks to that? So that's the basis of Be Connected. But attached to Be Connected, we also want to make sure that faith-based organizations specifically have really welcome spots for veterans. Because the truth is, and we're going to see this in a few minutes, they really need it, big time. So we're on a mission to connect every single service member, veteran, and the family to support and resources, and your support and resource. We have a wonderfully adept model and ecosystem. And I'm gonna take a risk here, and I'm gonna try to play a video. I don't know how this is gonna go. So this is gonna be like a fun little experiment for all of us. Did you see the screen change?
Yeah.
I'm gonna try it. Everybody ready?
Arizona is home to more than 500,000 service members, veterans, and their families. There is an entire ecosystem of support available to everyone, all ages, family members, stages of life, and military affiliations. This ecosystem includes a variety of helpers from the community, as well as partner organizations that come together to address every area of life. Because every person, family, and situation is unique, there is no one-size-fits-all approach. The ecosystem of support takes into account different factors to find the custom combination of resources to address each person and family's specific needs, with an upstream goal of addressing issues and preventing crisis. For example, a 67-year-old veteran recently lost his spouse. He feels isolated with little connection to the things he once enjoyed. Be Connected can link him to resources to foster social support to combat this isolation. A 39-year-old service member is transitioning out of the military. She's worried about starting a civilian career. Be Connected offers career navigation, including resume building, interview prep, and connection to Arizona veteran supportive employers. The spouse of a veteran calls Be Connected because her family has had a loss of income and is struggling with meeting their basic needs. Be Connected can help with referrals to immediate and ongoing resources. How can the Be Connected ecosystem of support assist you, your family, and others in your community? Our team is here for you. Visit connectveterans.org or call 866-4AZ-VETS.
All right. So I hope that kind of gives I try to do that because I could probably go on for about 3 hours of what Be Connected is, but essentially it makes it so that we've got all sorts of different things available to folks in a variety of different ways. And these are some of the areas that we cover, from basic needs, employment, family and social support, legal issues, spirituality, physical health, housing and homeless, higher education, you name it, there's resources out there. And that's the beautiful thing. Another really nice thing is that the Be Connected partners It's all kind of the major players. And I could go on. This list is actually 400 organizations long. So who have decided to become a part and engage with, actually, it's more than that at this point. But you know, it's a significant effort within the state to ensure that we're doing the very best for veterans and their families as we can. Now, I mentioned this a little bit previously, but one of the really important things is that, you know, there is a sense of confidence that service members just naturally have with the clergy and with leaders within a faith community, those running groups and things like that. Veterans are 5 times more likely to approach a faith leader than a mental health professional with an issue of concern. And I'm a licensed professional counselor, so you know I think that's an incredibly important element that that I hope each one of you take away, because what that means to me is that they need the connections that you have within the faith organizations, your own networks, and your own organization. It's incredibly important, and without that, they may not be connecting to anybody that has, you know, their best interest in heart and is connected to all the different resources that are out there and available. Fostering a sense of belonging for military connected folks is literally a direct suicide prevention method, because there's a couple of things that the most, in my opinion, grounded theory of suicide prevention has to deal with this person's sense of belongingness and their sense of burdensomeness. If they feel like they're a burden and they know they don't belong to anything, the likelihood of them dying by suicide is significantly higher. And let's take that piece off the mark for a second. We all know what it feels like to be lonely. We all know what it feels like not to have a connection with other folks in some way, even if it's only in passing. And sometimes folks will live for weeks, months, years. And in the case of Vietnam era veterans, we know that people can last decades feeling alone and isolated and disconnected. So we really see the faith entities that you represent as being incredibly important for this, to be able to help provide hope. Military veteran ministry, you know, it can be something incredibly, you know, wonderfully grassroots. It doesn't have to be a major emphasis, you know, as the bishop talked about, that we need, that's wonderful. But it can also be really at the local level. And we've got enough infrastructure now to be able to help support that. We can provide classes and training. That's what Kathy and Mike do. We've got other team members that can help support that as well. So if you want to start something, you know, just really truly at the local level and see what that looks like, we've got the ability to do that as well. We're looking for champions. I think that's the one main thing I'll just throw in on this particular slide. If we're looking for folks within the faith community that can champion this particular effort, and it doesn't have to be a full-time job. They can just say, yeah, we're interested. And, you know, this doesn't have to become some massive job for them. We can make it fairly simple for folks to be able to help organize this. It depends on what your needs are and what you're looking for. And then, I don't know, Kathy or Mike, do you want to take this one for a minute or two?
I just wanted to, I guess, second what Thomas had said. And I was thinking about what Chaplain Laura was talking about. And we actually have reached out to the Catholic Diocese of Phoenix. We've done training sessions for their deacons. Many of the deacons are veterans. And we routinely connect with Deacon Trent, who's the kind of the head of those deacons. I had the honor to start and lead a veteran ministry in Minnesota when right in the middle of the Afghan and Iraqi war, and we had a chance to support 39 different veterans and their families, and it was just really fulfilling. So Kathy and I are anxious to help out any of the faith communities, dioceses that would like some assistance in any way to get veteran ministries, or at a minimum, we provide training. We have 550 champions on our list now of people that are interested in learning more and more about how they can support veterans, service members and their families and their faith communities. So turn it over to Kathy.
Thanks, Mike. You all here today are just instrumental in identifying and cultivating champions at the high organizational level, but as well as at the grassroots local level, as Thomas mentioned. Because, you know, really everything in life is local. That's where friendships are developed, or that's where a lot of friendships are developed. So our goal is to advance the establishments of military veteran ministries inside of congregations. And so we very much want you to be a part of this in identifying prospective volunteer leaders. And so things you can do are like, make sure you're on the email distribution list. I believe we're going to get the list of people who wanted more information, and we'd like to be able to keep you informed about trainings, quarterly meetings, and other events that are coming up. We'd love introductions to faith and veteran community leaders that you know, so that we can present local presentations to veterans and faith community leaders to invite them to participate. Our first quarterly meeting is going to be on the 5th of November, and we're excited, I think, if it's not too premature, to announce that Charlie Brown from the Franciscan Center, we believe he's going to be our kickoff inaugural speaker. Our website, our upgraded website, is connectveterans.org/faith. That gives you a good overview, highlighting some of the information that Thomas has talked about. There's also a monthly newsletter that's broader based than just the Be Connected Faith Network email distribution list. But either way, we hope that you'll become informed in supporting all the social determinants of health, but because of your circle of influence, your contacts, we're hoping in particular you will champion the Be Connected Faith Network. So if you don't hear from us, from me in particular, or from the Be Connected organization, there's 2 email addresses where you can reach out to make sure that you're involved. I'm very excited about working with you all, learning your ideas, your expertise to help us do our job well and promote healing, connectedness, and decrease burdensomeness for those who have done so much for us. Thank you for being here today.
Thanks, Kathy. Thanks, Mike. Let's see. So and we'll send this out to everybody. There's a variety of different ways. We've got the wonderful thing about being around for, 12 or so years. Is that, you start to build some, organizational structure. And so we've got some breadth and depth to the efforts that we're doing. So there's a variety of different ways to connect with us. We've got Facebook and LinkedIn and Twitter. I don't tweet, but that we have that. and a variety of other ways to do it. So we'll get this information out to you. And so Wanda, I know you were working on a couple of things for Wanda or Maria. Do you have anything to kind of add before kind of open it up for discussion?
I would just say it is important that, just like it says for Be Connected, that we are connecting to more faith-based groups. So it's not only the challenge of establishing sort of military groups within the work that you're doing, but also reaching out to all the other pastors and chaplains and priests and whoever else is out there, to explain to them that this program exists and it can support the people in their communities. And so, we have a nice group here, but I know there's hundreds of groups out there that are faith-based that could use this information and education. So please spread the word as much as you can.
And I'll just say, I think Katie wasn't with us when we were doing introductions. So I see that Reverend Katie Sextonwood joined us with the Arizona Faith Network. So hi, Katie.
Hi, sorry to be late. Our internet has been down, so we're just getting it fixed now.
Glad to have you here, Katie. That's it's great. Yeah. All right. So I'm interested in your thoughts. I know, Sandy, you had kind of talked about wanting to get things started within your faith organization.
Correct.
Yeah, I'd love to hear a little bit more about that. What do you?
I was recently asked to oversee outreach. So in kind of serving with them side by side and seeing the things that we're currently doing, we have quite a few veterans that are part of the group, and I see them sometimes talking to each other, and we don't really have a support system specifically geared for them, but I think it would be amazing. I want them to feel valued, appreciated. I want them to have the ability to come and say, I need help with this, or I need help, or can you take me? Or because a lot of them are on in years, most of them are. The really cool part is that we also have a handful of the young ones that are coming in. And I thought, what a great idea that would be to bring them both together. That just, I could see them helping each other in more than any way we could ever even think or plan. Because the young ones need that direction, that mentorship, the fatherly approach, so to speak. And then the older need the support. Hey, can you take me? Can you pick this up instead of me picking it up? So I'm just really excited to see how this goes. It's something we've never done before, but I think it's timely. It's a perfect opportunity to see if we can't make this move. And thank you for the support. I kind of came across this by accident. So thank you very much.
A happy accident, right?
Yes, amazingly happy accident.
So I just want to demonstrate a little bit kind of the way we work. Obviously, this is a much more informal setting, and it's not designed for it. But Kathy, would you mind just introducing just a dash about you arrive here from Ohio and you start attending a church and what the conversation you had with your pastor.
So thank you. I moved here in January, started attending a non-denominational church in Fountain Hills. And in March, I approached the senior pastor and I said, what are we doing here in the congregation to support our military families? And just like that, he said, well, not much. We should be doing a lot more. So I said, I want to help you with that. And basically, he said, go for it. So since then, about a year and a half or so, there's now about 10 families in our military ministry. We call it Vet Connect at Christ Church of Fountain Hills. And it's real interesting because there's a wide age range. So that's a little challenging to try to figure out how to really meet needs. But really what it has evolved to is creating friendships, creating bonds, checking in with people. A mom's concerned about her son deploying, just brand new, joining the Navy. A wife has a husband who she calls an inside dad because he has PTSD and doesn't want to come outside. So she invited my husband, an Army veteran, to take her 8-year-old son fishing. Okay. We were invited to participate in the women's conference at our church. It was called Hold My Cape. And so it was very apropos for women veterans to be highlighted. So the group made thank you ribbons for women veterans that we donated at the Phoenix VA. We've been doing some study on We Are Stronger, the crew military's curriculum for PTSD. But, you know, a lot of it is really just coming alongside each other, listening, caring, praying, contacting, following through, and just by showing up over and over again, trying to build trusting relationships and support each other, you know. And, you know, I am a nurse. I'm not a chaplain. I'm doing this because I have some background knowledge, information. I understand, you know, resources, but I'm really using Kathy and who Kathy is as a person, and some of my, you know, background training, and certainly some of my awareness about the needs of veterans. But, you know, anybody can do this who cares about the military community. We don't want you to be a therapist or a counselor. We want you to care and show up and build trusting relationships. I like to say it's not rocket science, it's people science. And then one more anecdote, if I may. Thomas, you got a minute? Okay.
Of course.
As the director of community outreach for the Ohio National Guard, we built a clergy outreach program. And there was this one particular deacon who came to the VA's community clergy training program. We started a quarterly meeting, much like we're going to do here, to, you know, connect, equip, encourage, inspire. And this guy was so wonderful. He had attended our trainings for like 1.5 years, and he called me and he said, what else do I need to do to start one of these ministries? And I said to him, Deacon Tucky, you have taken everything that we have to offer you. You are ready. I said, my best advice to you is lead with your heart, you know, develop authentic relationships, right? 3 years later, I interviewed him for a project, and he had verbalized concern. He said, you know, I'm afraid, you know, what if somebody has PTSD or somebody's suicidal? Now, as you probably know, a deacon is a formally trained Catholic volunteer, but he had a computer business. He wasn't a behavioral health provider, okay? So 3 years later, after he started a non-denominational military ministry based on pairing a young Marine with a Marine who had transitioned, a young airman with an airman who had transitioned out in the community. 3 years later, Deacon Tucky told me that he had not experienced anybody really who was suicidal. He said, we started with prayer, we paired people with mentors, and I just treated my military people like anybody else who was struggling through transition, with a little bit of unique and special knowledge, understanding the military mindset, because it is a little different, right? Okay. Primarily because they don't like to ask for help, right? And primarily because they're stoic. But anyway, he said, you know, military people are not special snowflakes who need special consideration. They need support, love, and encouragement. And so I think that's a really powerful story for a clergy member who was uncertain, stepped outside his comfort zone because he really cared about military people, and, you know, made a difference, a non-denominational difference in his community in Ohio. So thank you for letting me share that.
That's great. Thank you, Kathy. I think those are two really good kind of examples of what we're talking about. We have the ability to help support you all on any level. And so whether that's right down to what you'd have in the service, which is a fire team, which is the lowest level of kind of leadership, and that's usually about 4 folks, all the way up to the brigade and command command level. So anyways, I hope that's helpful as well. Thanks, Kathy.
I'm interested to know if maybe Mike, you could help us with this. in our meetings. But if an organization, community of faith, wanted to start something in their place of worship, what do you have to give of organizational structure that we can give to them, or where do we go to it? You have your website. Is it there? Or I have not looked at it, but I'm just interested to know.
Oh, I think that's a very good question, Larry. We've developed a lot of resources in order to help, and Kathy and I personally are willing to meet, with the people in these faith communities.
Okay.
We have a video on how to start a ministry. We have a lot of practical experience. What I'll say from my experience, I'm in the Franciscan Renewal Center veteran ministry and the one in Minnesota. What we learned is that it's important, to have a good relationship, of course, with the pastor, so you have good support. It also is important that as you develop your team, you do some work on what their interests and passions are. The need is almost infinite for veterans. Obviously, we want everybody that would on the team and the entire faith community to know about Be Connected and how that works. But what we found is, I'll give you an example. There was a lady who loved to entertain. And so, how would you like to run the annual veterans dinner? That would be root canals for me, but she just loved it. She did that for 5 or 6 years. We have a lady that likes to shop at the Franciscan Renewal Center. So she set up a ministry to give about $150 worth of items to veterans coming into their first apartment. I'm primarily interested in veteran healing. And so, I focus on retreats. There's several retreats like that. So really, and overall, I'd say the ministries would be dealing with prayer, with recognition. And some, I know a lot of churches do things, for example, on Veterans Day and things like that, and that draws the veterans out. And then support. But the cool thing about support is with the Be Connected network, we can provide a lot of support. So Kathy and I stand ready to help any faith community that would like to start a ministry. Now, the other thing I want to mention is that it doesn't have to be too complicated. Kathy mentioned this too. If there's one person in that, one champion, they don't have to have a formal ministry. But what we want is the pastor can go to somebody that's been trained and understands how to connect with resources. If the faith community wants to take it further, Kathy and I both have been heavily involved in starting ministries, running ministries, and that sort of a thing. They're all a little bit different. But great question, Larry. We would be personally involved to help any faith community.
Well, and if I may, by example, Sandy, it sounds like she already has a military ministry going. You don't have to have some formal label, just gathering people together, giving them an opportunity to have fellowship, recognizing that they may have a unique bond. Keeping it simple is really, really key. And then in identifying kind of the demographics and the needs, Sandy said her veterans are a little bit more senior, whereas at this point, the people in my group, you saw the picture a couple slides ago, there were young they're, probably mostly 30 somethings. So, the face of a military ministry can be very different depending upon the people in your group. And so it's really just starting, showing up, taking interest, following through, at the risk of oversimplifying.
So I'll just say, and then I'll just say this real quick, but so you're seeing examples of kind of the grassroots, talking about kind of the grassroots effort, how it's really simple those can be. That's part of the beauty of this. If you're wanting to do more organizational stuff or organizational with grassroots types of stuff, we've got things that are really relatively easy as well. Like with Reverend Katie Sexton Wood, we are talking about, and we share newsletters. And so, you know, they highlight some things that we're doing, we highlight some things that they're doing. And so, you know, what a wonderful collaboration, because communication is so important. There's, you know, re-forwarding posts that are happening about, like a good example is what's happening with the Afghanistan crisis. That's activating a lot of veterans. You've probably seen some news reports and things like that, but that's affecting not just post 9/11, but my era, which is Desert Storm, and definitely Vietnam era veterans. They're really struggling with this. So communicating about all the massive resources that are out there within the VA and things like that, that's a beautiful, wonderful thing to do, because they are utilizing those. Yeah, Sandy. You're on mute.
Sorry, I forgot about the unmute thing. Thank you for sharing that. And, you know, I really didn't think that we were going to be, I don't know, call it naive, but I didn't think that we would be including or even addressing issues with the Vietnam veteran. But I think that's where most of our group is and from.
Yep.
And there are still, I think the blessing in disguise for us is we have 2 fully certified counselors on staff.
Wow.
That are also, one of them is one of our executive ministers. So we have the opportunity to be able to also help them in that way where it concerns some of the traumatic stuff that they've endured, the PTSD and some other situations, whether being lonely or not. So it's a powerful thing. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, Wanda.
I want to be able to kind of explain too that this model really works. We, you know, Thomas and I work with all veterans in all spaces, and we work with our employers to provide affinity groups to bring veterans together in a organization. So it could be a, you know, corporate organization, it could be a small business organization, but the affinity group usually has a little someone in charge, and they kind of round up all the veterans in the organization, and they do stuff together. And then, so that's sort of the employer side. And then we have the school side, where each of our campuses, we designate them veteran supportive campuses. They also have groups that come together, you know, regularly to support one another. So it works. And I just think it's so great that we now are having the faith-based groups come together to kind of provide the same, because veterans will do that. Like, they will come towards something that includes them. And so it sounds like there's a lot of energy behind this, and it's a good model to use for our faith-based groups.
I want to make sure that was great, Wanda. Yeah, sorry, Mike, go ahead.
I just wanted to follow up, because Sandy reminded me of something that's really important. The faith communities already have the resources that can help veterans. You know, and so the idea is to have a champion in there that kind of connects with these other services and ministries. Like at Franciscan Renewal Center, we also have spiritual direction, counseling, things like that. We had in Minnesota, we had a ministry that made shawls for people, you know, with cancer. Well, we sent the pastor that we adopted over in Iraq, it gets chilly at night, so we sent him one of those from the prayer ministry, the ones that does the prayer shawls. And I took a picture, sent it back, we posted it on our veteran board. There's just so much. Baby, you know, if you have early childhood development, you have preschools, well, they're certified, you know, babysitters, you know, maybe you can talk them into having a night out, you know, for, let's say, a deployed veteran's family, you know. So there's just a lot of different things that are already in you don't have to set up a whole new structure. You just leverage the current services that are there. So thanks, Sandy, for reminding me of that.
Yes, sir.
So any other questions that we can answer in our final 6 minutes that we have?
And I would offer, and I think Thomas would be okay with it, that if you have questions after you talk to your colleagues and your friends and all the other wonderful people that you will continue to help us bring to the table, Thomas and I, and I know Director Wright, we're and the whole team, we're always here to answer questions. And we're going to keep putting information on our website at GOYFF about Be Connected in our resources for our faith-based partners specifically. But I know that this is an ongoing conversation. And what I like to share with our partners is that, we're here to be a resource to you, but especially when it comes to our churches and our faith-based partners on the ground, we aim to learn from you what you see are the needs in your communities, because you know more about what people in your community need than we will ever know. And so it's certainly a two-way partnership and two-way conversation that I know this is just the first of. And so just very grateful for everyone that showed up. And if you know colleagues or other churches or other networks that would be interested to learn more, we can do this as many times as is needed, because you all are the front lines of the types of supports and services that we need for our families.